So yeah, going back to what we were talking about, like, don't forget what your purpose is in life. You know, don't that will, once you find out what, trust me, once you find out what your purpose is and what makes you the most happiest in life, and you're able to to kind of do that every day of your life, you know what I mean, that will truly make you happy, you know. And that's so important, like, you know. Don't get me wrong, unfortunately not everyone does get to that point in life where they figure it out and they kind of you know, but if you can, try to figure it out as young as possible, you know. What are you passionate about, what you're good at, what drives you, and then work your hardest towards that, if you see what I mean, you know, whatever it may be, you know, strive towards that. And do something every day that is working towards that goal, if you see what I mean. Even if it's spending 20 minutes every day, if you see what I mean, you know, doing something that is working towards that, that will benefit you, trust me. So yeah, you know.
I think number one thing to be passionate about in life is yourself.
Yeah, yeah.
It's no good if you have got no passion for yourself. You know, so like be passionate about looking after yourself.
Yeah, yeah.
Because you are stepping forward each day,
yeah,
just by looking after yourself and being, you know, liking yourself, loving yourself. You know, not like some people do on stage. You know, like, look at me, I love myself so much. You know,
yeah.
look at me. You know, that's over the top. Do you know what I mean? You know, when people love themselves too much, nobody likes them. Do you know what I mean? So you don't need to show that you love yourself. Just love yourself. If you sort of mean, I feel. You know, and I think, like, if you're passionate about, you know, I mean, I'm not perfect in that way, you know, or haven't been in my past, do you know what I mean? When I was married, you know what I mean, I sort of like neglected myself and forgot about myself a bit, you know, because I was just so, I messed up in life, I suppose, you know, about a lot of things at that time, do you know what I mean?
Right.
You know, so, you know, I can understand it, but, you know, I think it's important not to sort of give up on yourself. You see what I mean? That's the most important thing in life. You know, like when you give up on yourself, you give up on everything. When you think about it, you know, and I've done that before. I've given up on life. You know, sort of like, as I said, I've lost a couple of families now. You know,
Yeah.
a couple of relationships, lost them,
Right.
and I was so devastated that, you know, I didn't, you know, I felt like giving up.
Yeah.
You know, but I, you know, as time, because I didn't give up and I just carried on, I feel that, you know, I mean, that would have been the worst thing I ever done if I did give up in a kind of way, you know,
Yeah.
because I mean, even this wouldn't happen today, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, so, you know, I think that's the worst thing you can do is give up on yourself.
Yeah.
You know, even if you're the one that you love gives up on you, you know, you don't give up on yourself in a funny way. You know, I feel.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like it's probably why my relationship ended, you know, why we got divorced, is because I was sort of too busy working. I couldn't focus on myself enough, you know what I mean? I was passionate about myself, you know what I mean? And it kind of like, it's probably the main root of divorce in a funny way, you know, because I wasn't looking after myself or being passionate about my own self,
Yeah.
which I feel that's very important for every person, to enjoy who they are, enjoy their memories, enjoy their own imagination, and enjoy who you are.
Yeah.
And that is a big step forward of achieving a lot of things in life, you know, a lot of things. You know, I mean, I feel like I've achieved a lot, you know, in the last 5 years, you know. Like I know how to video edit now, you know, which I didn't know how to do a couple of years ago. So now I'm going to step forward and see what else I can do in life, if you see what I mean. And be positive, always love yourself, and like you say, don't have any regrets. I mean, I feel like we've all got regrets, but it's not worth kicking yourself in for.
No,
Do you know what I mean? I mean, I nearly kicked myself in last week, but, you know, beat myself up.
Ah, for losing your camera.
Losing my camera,
yeah.
I was very angry with myself, do you know what I mean? I thought,
Yeah.
how can I lose my camera, you know? But I did. But within a few days I put it right, didn't I? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
I mean,
sorted
I'm
it
not
out.
rich, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I sorted it out just for a couple £100.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. That's all it cost me.
Mm.
Cost me a couple £100 to put it right.
Yeah.
So, you know, and even I felt like giving up when I lost my camera in a kind of way, you know, because it's kind of my life in a funny way. You know, I like doing going out filming birds or whatever, you know, in my spare time, and that gives me some enjoyment. Just like when you do your music, you know, it gives you some sort of, you know, at least you're doing something in life.
Yeah, exactly. You're working towards something.
Yeah.
Don't just you know, like you're saying earlier, life is short. You know, that is reality, as we all know.
Shorter than we imagine.
That we think about, especially when you're young, you don't think that it's going to go so quick, and you know, you don't think time flies.
Well, you don't care about it then.
You don't, but just you know, you've got to enjoy it, you know, and yeah, make the most of it. Really, you know, make the most of your time. Just don't just sit. You know, it's okay to relax sometimes and to have a break, and yeah, that's great. But don't spend all of your life doing that. You know. You know, live your life. You know, you only get, like as we all know, you get one opportunity. You know.
I'm enjoying my life.
Yeah.
I must admit.
Mm.
You know, I don't think I'm going to be one of these old men.
Yeah.
When I reach 80, I'm not going to sort of think, oh, I wish I, you know, I don't feel like I'm going to regret anything in life. You know what I mean? I feel like I've not had the perfect life, you know, because I didn't want a divorce or anything, but it happened.
Yeah, yeah.
My life's turned a different way than I wanted to.
Yeah.
As I've said before, my parents didn't stay together, split up at an early age. So that could have been better, I feel like. Things could have been better, you know what I mean? But I feel like most people here today have had problems one way or another along their way.
Oh, for sure, mate. Think about it, mate. There's so many people out there that have had some real terrible, like, we've all of us in life go through shit, and a lot of us, you know, some of us more than others, you know, of course, naturally. But there's some people that have literally had some, like, most of their life has been quite horrific, you know. There've been people out there that have been subjected to bloody, all sorts of terrible stuff, but sometimes by their parents, sometimes by their guardians, sometimes in foster homes, sometimes in all sorts of circumstances. You get people that grow up and have some real bad lives and experiences, like, you know, and a lot of these people, no matter what, they keep going, you know. I think other people you should use, you know, if you know someone personally out there that has had that kind of life where literally their whole life, most of their life from childhood up until they were adult, until they were able to escape kind of thing, was just awful, like, you know. And if you've got a friend out there that's like that, or you know there's bit, you know, had a real extremely hard life growing up and tough time, just use that as an inspiration and like a reminder to yourself, like to remind yourself, like, no matter what you might have been through, it wasn't as bad as that, if you see what I mean, you know. And I don't want to go too far talking about this too and go too far down the rabbit hole, but there's people out there that have been abused and stuff, like growing up physically, sexually, all sorts of awful, horrific shit. And talking about the memory, a lot of these people have to live with these memories for the rest of their life, and they have to try to move on from it and try to heal somehow, so that they can then somehow in the future have some kind of normal life. That's right. Especially if they get married, like especially if they're going to get married and have children and have, like, say someone's been abused as a child, like, of course, naturally, as they get older, or whatever, it might be difficult or hard for them to have any kind of like normal kind of like sexual life. Let's say.
To be honest with you, it's affected my life in a big way, you know, because I did meet a girl. Yeah. My first girl that I had a baby with. Yeah. Before my marriage, and she was highly sexually abused by her stepdad. You know, and I didn't know this at the time. Do you know what I mean? You know, when I met her, you know, I hanged around with her, you know, and we started sleeping together. Yeah. And I started finding out all these horrible nightmares slowly. After, yeah. You know, and it affected my sex life as well, and that's why, you know, partly why we separated. You know what I mean? Yeah. And because you know, she met somebody else suddenly, you know. I met somebody else not long after, you know, and got married and had 2 more children, you know. But we simply did not work out. Yeah. Because she was abused so much, do you know what I mean? Even when I was having sex with her sometimes, you know, it'd come out, you know, you're just like my stepdad and things, you know, and it kind of like, it's a real bitter
that
effect.
that will completely like you
Yeah.
know, that'll turn you off completely.
Yeah.
That will, and not only that, but like that will make you. It will make it'd be hard for you to kind of approach that situation in the future because I don't know. Well, for me, I'd be worried subconsciously that because of what that person might have been through, that you're gonna somehow they're gonna relive that in the moment because of the trauma they've experienced, not on purpose, but because of the trauma they've experienced. That when they do try to indulge in certain activities or whatever, it just naturally reminds them of that, and that's awful to know to know that you've reminded someone of something so awful. Is just
I mean,
put you off.
When we first met and we were at first having sex, you know, nothing was said, you know what I mean? And then later on I find out all this, you know, and it gets deeper and deeper.
Yeah.
And I actually told her to go to the police about it, you know, to report it all, and do you know what I mean? And she got £15,000 compensation for it at the end, but as soon as she got it, she wanted me out the door, do you know what I mean? She met somebody else, if you see what I mean.
I see.
You know, but that's life, you know. I mean, I'm glad that I was out of it in a funny way, you know, when I think about it, you know. I mean, I was devastated.
At the time,
I had a baby with her, you know, and
I
was quite, you know, close to my son, you know, quite close, very, very close to my son, just like any other father would be, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, he was my first son.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
You know, meant a lot to me.
Yeah.
But we separated and it was awful for me, you know, but when I think about it now, I think she done me a favour. Yeah. You know, because if I was with her today, I don't know, do you know what I mean? My life, I think it could have been, I don't know. Yeah. You know, it wouldn't have been so fun, I don't think, as I am having today, let's put it that way. Yeah. You know, so, yeah, I'm glad that she did get rid of me, you know, I mean, if she didn't get rid of me, I wouldn't have had the other two joining, you see. So it's a way to look at life. Like I say, sometimes when you lose something in life,
you gain something else.
Like my camera, you know, I've gained, you know, it's got a better zoom on it a little bit, it works better, and so on. So it's improved my life.
For sure,
It made me smile more. You know, when I do my filming in my future, of my birds, whatever, when I go out, the filming's going to be better. You know what I mean? And whatever. So it's good. You know, I mean, I was devastated last week, and I nearly cried, you know, for days.
Felt devastated.
Yeah, you know, but I feel healed now. You know, put it right. And I just feel like too many people give up, and having the ability to remember and all that kind of stuff, you should never give up. You see, you should never give up, because just having the ability to have a memory is a magical miracle for anyone to have, if you see what I mean. You know, and they should appreciate that. And just imagine, like tomorrow when you wake up, you got another day to use your memory, the ability of it, the power of it, to change your life even.
Oh, of course, yeah. Because obviously not only do you remember, obviously your memory also is for everything that you've learned in life, all your life skills, all the information that you've acquired, all the knowledge, wisdom, everything else that you've acquired, you apply that to your life, don't you, as you get older. The goal is to get wiser and smarter and to act accordingly, you know, to grow, to evolve, you know, to learn, to grow, to evolve.
I think wisdom is getting a bigger memory.
Yeah, for sure.
Bigger imagination. Yeah. More experiences in life to understand them, you know, and you know, it's like when you experience things for the first time, it's new to you.
Oh yeah.
And then if you've got to do the same thing again, it's not so new to you.
No.
You're going to be a bit better at it.
Whatever,
you know? And then you do it for the third time. You know, it's easy to you now. You know, you've got used to it, and you know you should know to do it better.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, let's say practice makes perfect, and obviously not perfect. It's just a saying. Well, obviously it doesn't make perfect, but the more you practice at anything, the more time you apply to anything, the more time you spend doing anything, the better you become at it. No matter what it is, sports, whatever, you know, no matter what it is you choose to do, you know, whatever you apply that time and that intention to, you know, you'll become better. You know.
It's like, you know, when I look at my past, I've had lots of different jobs in my past. I used to work on the ships for a number of years, and I worked in cafe, so
Okay.
you know, in a catering place and all that kind of stuff. And I worked in a factory at one point for 3 years, you know. And those 3 years, all I can remember is sort of like factory, sort of like machines going around, you know, and pizzas and things, you know. Those my pizza memory years, you know, do you know what I mean? And then I got out that little prison, you know, and went to somewhere else, you know, and went to a supermarket, say, and sometimes I mean, most of my life I've worked on the building trade, and I've done removals as well, you know. So
yeah, heavy duty kind of work.
That's how I met you, wasn't it?
Yeah.
You remember that?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
You know what I mean? The first day I met you.
Well, I was going to say I can remember it like it was yesterday, mate, because it was not long after my first son was born.
Yeah.
You know, speaking of kids and that, yeah, my son was only. He was born. Yeah, we moved. Yeah, I think he was
about 10 years ago, wasn't it?
Yeah. No, not that long ago.
Wasn't it?
2014.
Was it?
Yeah, almost 10 years, mate.
Yeah.
9 years. 9 years for sure. Yeah, next year will be 10 years.
Your son's nearly 11 now, isn't he?
He'll be 11 in February. So, my son was about a year old at the time, roughly.
But I can remember, I can remember moving you in. I can remember where I chatted to you. You know, I remember sort of chatting to you one point outside the van, you know, and passing you stuff, whatever, because you were helping me.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
You know, but yeah, I mean, what an amazing thing the memory is. Do you know what I mean? And we've seen each other quite a lot in that time. Do you know what I mean?
We've known each other now for almost 10 years then as well. We've known each other for almost 10 years.
Yeah.
And I was going to say probably the last probably longer than that, last 7 years, I'd say we've, you know, our friendship has grown, if you see what I mean. We've you know, before, obviously I used to come round, but not as frequently and as long, if you see what I mean, because of certain situations. But obviously things changed, and then obviously, you know, our friendship grew. You know? Yeah. And like you said, obviously our friendship, we've been friends now for, you know, close to 10 years, and we've got a lot of memories too, you know, things we've spoken about, or you know, or shows we've done, or music, or whatever.
We've done a lot, haven't we, really?
We've done a lot in 10 years,
yeah.
You know.
We enjoy it, don't we?
So
we look forward to the future, haven't we, you know?
Oh yeah, for sure.
But I mean, when I did my removals, I met so many different people, sometimes rich people, sometimes poor, sometimes famous people I've met, you know. It was just so interesting, yeah. And I think I did it for 15 years, you know, with a year off, okay, because I went in Canary Wharf to look for a year.
Yeah.
You know, when I compare that job to a factory job, you know, I mean, when you're in a factory, for instance, or, you know, I mean, depending what factory it is, some factories are not so bad, if you see what I mean, and so some factories are like hell, if you ask me, you know. And just imagine living, you know, working in quite, you know, say a car factory, where you're seeing sparks every day and all this sort of stuff, and hearing noises and all that. You go to bed and you know, what have you got to dream about? Do you know what I mean? You know, apart from what you've done. You know. Yeah. So I feel that a lot of people are in jobs that they don't really want to do.
True.
You know, and they have to do it to earn a living.
Yeah, to provide.
To pay the bill.
Yeah.
You know, but they're not living a life.
Yeah. A lot of people.
You know, you're giving your life up in a kind
of
way.
Well, a lot of people live for the weekends, don't they? If you see what I mean.
And it's sad. You know, we all know it, don't we? Where we all, you know, that's why I feel like half the world's depressed. Do you know what I mean? Because we're doing things that we don't really want to do, or something. You know, and everybody's trying to get into a job that they enjoy, what they love doing. But that's not the world we live in, is it? It's not the reality. You know, there's a lot of jobs that have got to be done that people don't really like doing.
Yeah, that's true.
Like even the sewers, for instance, you know, I don't know how many people work in that sort of...
That department.
It's got to be done.
It's got to be done.
And there's people doing it, you know, and working with that kind of smell and all that around them all the time.
I imagine, like, even the other day I saw a video, but I said the other day, a couple of weeks ago, I saw this video, this guy, someone's literally recording him because he was literally, that's what part of his job, he was literally down in this sewer in a suit, and he was spraying, like cleaning out all this, like this manhole type thing. He was cleaning it out, you know, spraying it down and cleaning it out. But he had a suit on, thankfully, but he was literally covered in cockroaches and all sorts of shit. because this guy was filming him while he was doing it, if you see what I mean. This guy was covered in cockroaches from head to, obviously had the suit on, so he was protected from head to toe, thankfully, you know, had his rubber, you know, big suit on and rubber boots, whatever. But yeah, he was, you know, this guy was doing his job, if you see what I mean. That was his job, and he was, you know, down there, you know, cockroaches running around and rats and mice, and yeah.
Well, I was watching this documentary last week, yeah, and in India, you got these men that go down into the sewers and all that, yeah, and they work there in long hours, yeah, and all this, and they ain't got no gloves on. They do it with bare hands, yeah, and they go through the sewers, all right, and they they sieve out for gold, believe it or not, and little gems.
Yeah.
They do get, sometimes they get quite a lot of money doing it, yeah,
yeah.
if they're lucky. But that's what they do for a living, do you know what I mean? That's how they get their money.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
It's pretty disgusting when you think about it. But
awful.
Yeah.
Awful.
Yeah, I mean I've done all kinds of jobs, you know, I've worked with asbestos before, where you've got to put suits on and things, you know. Or I've worked in the attic where there's fiberglass flying about around you, you know, and you're sweating because it's hot in the attic.
Yeah.
Not a very pleasant experience,
imagine.
let's put it that way. And when you come home from work, you want to go straight into the bath, okay? And you have the bath, right? And even after that, your skin's red and you're still scratching. Do you know what I mean? And then next day you've got to do it again.
That's awful.
You know? So I think like...
That's another job where you need a suit. You need a head to toe suit.
So you put a suit
But obviously you'll be even hotter. I know you'll be even hotter up there, but I think that, I don't know what else you could do.
Yeah, well, I remember wearing a suit, and even so, there's stuff that even went down here somehow, you know what I mean?
Beautiful.
So, yeah, I feel like I've had some good jobs, yeah, in my life, but sometimes some bad moments, you know, but even with the removals I did, yeah, sometimes it was a good removal, you know. They had like furniture, for instance, you know, it was made of polystyrene or something, you know.
Yeah.
And sometimes they had heavy furniture, you know, and it is really hard. You know, just sort of like put it on the van, or getting it off the van and back up to their house or something, you know, depending how far it was.
Yeah.
And I must admit, some removals were like hell.
I can imagine, yeah.
You know, and I was absolutely glad to be home.
Yeah.
I was just praying that the next day is going to be
easier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I say, some of them were easy peasy, good, and sometimes they're hard work. You know.
And I guess you also get people too who are like prepared and some people who are unprepared. You get some people who will literally have all their stuff boxed up and taped up and packaged up and ready to go. Yeah.
Let's put it this way: if they wanted us to box it, they'd have to pay for it.
Yeah, of course.
So they'd have to, you know, Rob, the guy that I used to work with, you know, he used to say, if you know, label them and all this, you know, because it makes the removal a lot faster.
But exactly, and that's what I think. That's personally, that's what I kind of me and my wife have always done. You know, the things that we've moved, that's what we do: box it up, and then, like you said, put the kitchen on it, living room, bedroom.
Well, most of the time, when I went on job, most people were
already.
Not all people, you know. And sometimes we had to sort of do it for them because they paid us to do it. You know, they could afford it.
Yeah.
Or they couldn't be bothered to do it, you know, and pay someone else to do it, you see.
Yeah.
You know, but generally speaking, most people are quite organised, you know, these days, I feel, with their stuff. And they label it kitchen, front room, you know, and all that.
Yeah.
I mean, I have done that job for 7 years now, you know, it's just a memory. All those jobs I've ever done. And I've done quite a lot of removals, I must admit, you know. Every one of them, some of them I've forgotten. Funny enough, you know.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, like second nature.
Yeah, you've probably done so many over the years, so many removals over the years, just becomes second nature. It's like me, I've worked in the healthcare industry for so long. The amount of people that I've had to, you know, I've seen come and go over my time. Like I can't remember all those people. You know, in the 10 plus years that I've been working in the industry.
Yeah.
You see what I mean? I can recall a lot of them. I can't recall all of them, that's for certain.
I suppose if you saw their face again,
you would remember.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, you would remember.
That's the thing about the memory.
Yeah.
It comes back to you, doesn't it, sometimes?
And I'm kind of like that too. I kind of remember people's faces and rather than their names, if you see what I mean. I'm better at you know, if I see someone, I remember them for sure, but the name might escape me, but you know.
But sometimes, I mean, when I think about, because like I say, I've lived quite a while now, and when I think about my past now, I think I've met about 10 Marks, 10 Stevens, you know, and it builds up, you know, sort of as you get older, you know, you meet more people, if you see what I mean. I don't think I've met you, you know,
A Josh.
no,
Yeah.
before. You're my first, but yeah, yeah. But memories are beautiful. I think.
Yeah. Definitely. Yeah.
I mean, when I look back on my life, I don't want to remember everything. No, I do actually. You know, so I've got nothing to regret.
Yeah.
I've got nothing to regret.
It's all part of the journey, you know.
I mean, your memories belong to you.
Even the unpleasant ones, mate. Even the unpleasant ones, you know, are part of your journey, are part of your story. You know, you might not like it, or it might not be favourable, or you know, might not be pleasant in any way, but it's still part of your story. It's still part of your journey.
Well, I mean, that was a bit of a story last week. You know, sort of going to Isle of Wight, coming back, and losing my camera.
Yeah.
You know, and it was a bit of a, you know, I was devastated. You know, but I thought, well, it's not the end of the world, is it? You know,
I'm still alive.
Still alive, and I'll get another one, if you see what I mean. And I did. And I think that's what life's all about. Just sort of, you know, like, I mean, the camera don't really matter, does it? Really, when you think about it, really, you know, it's just appreciating life.
Yeah.
Itself, you know, and I think a lot of people forget to do that. So many people, or like I say, they are tied up. A lot of people, you know, and they can't enjoy life. And I'd say to those people, just try to sort of be positive and just try to get out of that job into a better job that you enjoy doing.
Yeah.
If you see what I mean, aim for that.
Exactly. Because we all have to work. The reality is that we all have to work. We all have to survive. We all have to provide. So it's got to be done at the end of the day. You know, you still got to do it regardless of however you feel. It still has to be done. So, like you said, it's better to do it. It's better to spend your time doing something you really love and you're passionate about and enjoy, than spending 40 years or 50 years in an occupation where you're miserable. You know. So.
Yeah, it's important, isn't it, that you. I mean, personally, even when I worked at a pizza factory, I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
You know, I think it's up to the attitude. You know, after 3 years, I started getting really bored of it. And that's why I left. But I think it's just important to aim for something you enjoy doing in life, and get out of the things that you don't enjoy. You know, change it.
Yeah.
You got to change life. Let's put it that way. You know. And sometimes, like, nobody likes change a lot of times.
Yeah.
But if it's better in your life, you know.
You've got to be open to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Some people sort of get friends from work and they don't want to leave their friendship, you know, and all that behind.
Well, I think naturally as human beings we become complacent. You know. You become complacent and then you get used to a certain routine and a certain whatever.
Yeah.
And people don't like to give that up, you know what I mean? They're resistant to change. And a lot of time, like you said, a lot of time change can be for the, you know, a lot of time change is for the better, for the, you know, for good reasons, good purposes, you know. And sometimes you just have to kind of take that leap of faith, if you see what I mean. Take that leap of faith and, just do it, you know. If you know it's going to be better for you or better for your family or better circumstances, better environment, better job, better pay, better whatever, then sometimes you just have to do it, you know. You might not be so happy about having to leave, you know, you might leaving friends behind or whatever who you might not be able to see as frequently or whatever the case may be or whatever, whatever. But sometimes in the moment, sometimes if it's the best thing, you know, the best move to make on the chessboard for you and your family, then you have to make that move, you know. It's part of life, isn't it? It's you know, life is like that, you know. So